With everyone talking about cloud first this and cloud need of that, it's kind of easy to forget about the hardware that's humming away in your own data center. But here's the thing, those physical drives, they are the absolute foundation of your entire operation. So today, we're diving into RAID, a technology that's been around for decades. But believe me, it's more critical than ever for protecting your most valuable asset, your data.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with a reality check, the unavoidable effect of drive failure. Then, we'll look at how RAID steps in as your first line of defense and get into the nuts and bolts of how it actually works. After that, we'll see it in action in NAS and SAN setups, explore what makes a professional implementation different, and then wrap it all up. Sound good? Let's go. So first up, let's talk about the one fundamental challenge that every single data center is built to handle, or at least it should be. This simple fact that drives will fail. Let's be crystal clear about this. This is not a possibility. It is a physical inevitability. Every single spinning disk, and yep, even your fancy solid-state drives, they all have a limited lifespan. So it is never a question of if a drive is going to fail, but when. And that one simple fact is the entire reason data protection strategies even exist. So what really happens when that inevitable failure finally occurs? We're not just talking about a bit of lost data, we're talking about application downtime, we're talking about breaking your SLAs, lost revenue, and that incredibly stressful, time-sucking process of trying to do a full restore from a backup. It's a huge deal. So how in the world do we fight back against this constant threat? Well, for decades, the number one answer has been a pretty simple but incredibly powerful technology, RAID. Okay, for anyone who needs a quick refresher, RAID stands for Redundant Array of Independent Disks. All it really is a way to take a bunch of individual physical drives and get them to act together as one single logical unit. This is what lets you get data redundancy, a nice performance boost, or, a smart combination of both. So RAID is really built on a few key ideas. First, it gives you predictable fault tolerance, which means you can literally design your system to survive 1, 2, or even more drive failures. It's all about data redundancy, and you can tweak it to balance performance and protection. And what's the end result? Higher availability for your apps and a recovery process that is way, way simpler than a full-blown backup restore. So how does RAID actually work its magic? Well, it mainly comes down to two cool tricks: mirroring and parity. Let's break down what those mean. On this slide, you can see the two main paths. Mirroring, which you'll find in RAID 1 and 10, is basically a perfect, real-time carbon copy of your data on another drive. It gives you incredible redundancy, but the trade-off is you lose 50% of your capacity. Then you've got parity, which is the brains behind RAID 5 and 6. This uses some clever math to create checksums that are spread across all the drives. If one drive dies, the system just uses that parity info to rebuild the lost data on the fly. It's a much more space-efficient way to get redundancy. And here's what that recovery process looks like in real life. A drive fails. The array instantly goes into what's called a degraded mode. But, and this is the magic part, your system stays completely online and accessible to your users. You can then just pop out the bad drive, slide in a new one, and the array automatically starts rebuilding the data in the background, bringing you back to full protection, all without any downtime. Okay, so we've got the theory down. Now let's see how this plays out in the real world, in the core components of pretty much every enterprise data center. Your network-attached storage, or NAS, and your storage area networks, your SANs. This chart tells a huge story. This is all about mean time to recovery. Just look at that difference. Trying to restore from a full backup could take you hours, maybe even days. A RAID rebuild, that's an automated process that's happening in the background, often in just minutes or a few hours, while your system is still up and running. For business continuity, that is a total game changer. And this is where it gets really practical. For a NAS that's handling all your file shares, RAID means your users get uninterrupted access. For a high-performance SAN that's running all your critical databases and VMs, RAID gives you that resilient performance you need to keep those vital applications humming along smoothly. But, and this is a really important but, not all RAID is created equal. The theory is one thing, but the hardware and software that actually manage the array are just as critical. And that brings us to why an expert implementation, like what you get with StoneFly, is so important. Yeah, you heard me right. The RAID controller, the firmware, the management software, these things matter. A whole lot. If they're not up to snuff, that controller can actually become a single point of failure, which completely defeats the whole purpose of having RAID in the first place.
This is what a real expert implementation offers. Options. StoneFly's NAS and SAN appliances don't just support the basic RAID levels. They have built-in support for the full spectrum. We're talking RAID 0, 1, 10, and even advanced nested configurations like RAID 30, 50, and 60. This lets you perfectly fine-tune the balance between performance, capacity, and fault tolerance for whatever your application needs.
So let's bring this all home. The big takeaway here is that RAID isn't some dusty legacy tech. It is a fundamental, non-negotiable piece of any serious, modern data protection strategy. And this quote just nails it. For any enterprise environment, RAID isn't some design preference or a nice-to-have. It is a reliability mandate. It's the absolute baseline for ensuring your data is safe and your systems are up. And that really brings us to our final thought. If you're looking for a storage appliance that actually lives up to that mandate, a solution with robust, built-in RAID, complete redundancy, and no single point of failure, then it's probably time to talk to the experts. You can reach out to StoneFly directly at sales@stonefly.com.